If you could have a drink with anyone in the theater world, who would it be? I'm Anthony Caporale, and I'm running through my list. Each week, I'll sit down with cast members, bartenders, and personalities from New York's theater district and get a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to live, work, and play on Broadway. Come have a drink with us on Broadway Bartender. Welcome to Broadway Bartender. My name is Anthony Caporale. We are here at New World Stages in the heart of New York's theater district, home to my show, The Imbible, A Spirited History of Drinking. And this week, we are making coffee drinks for a couple reasons. First of all, our special guest this week spends a lot of late nights in theaters, and I think he's probably going to appreciate a cup of coffee. Second, we just opened our brunch show here at The Imbible. It's called The Imbible Day Drinking, and one of the things we do is tell the story not only of brunch and brunch drinks, but things like coffee, and we make an Irish coffee in the show. But in the show, we do a very traditional Irish coffee, the way it was actually created at the Buena Vista Cafe in San Francisco. We actually recreate the way they actually make dozens of them at once on the bar. But this week, our guest requested drinks that were sugar-free and also dairy-free. Now, considering that two of the main ingredients in an Irish coffee are sugar and dairy, I thought this would be a nice challenge, and maybe some of our viewers would also appreciate it. So we're going to do a Truvia sweetened Irish coffee with coconut cream instead of cream. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is we use very standard traditional Irish coffee glasses, which I love. Normally you would start with sugar cubes and some Irish whiskey, but we're using Truvia simple syrup, and all I've done is mixed equal parts Truvia, which you can get at any supermarket, and water, and you just mix it up. It dissolves very, very easily. It's one of the nice things about the product. And then I'm going to add an ounce of Irish whiskey to each of these mugs, and then top it up with some freshly brewed coffee. And freshly brewed is really important. We made this probably 5 minutes ago, and that goes almost up to the top, but you want to leave enough room for the cream. Now again, in a traditional Irish coffee, we would be using full heavy cream, but we're going to use coconut cream that I've sweetened, again, a little bit with some Truvia. And all I'm going to do is pour some of this coconut cream into my mixing tin. I want to thicken it, because the whole thing about an Irish coffee is the cream needs to float. And if you don't shake the cream, it will sink to the bottom of the glass. And if you do shake it, it will aerate and float. So we're gonna do what's called a dry shake, and that's just shaking an ingredient without ice. And all I'm trying to do is introduce air into this ingredient. And again, we normally do this with cream, but it works beautifully with coconut cream. Only takes about 15 or 20 seconds. Just gonna thicken it up a little bit, and those air bubbles are gonna keep that coconut cream floating right on top of the drink. And what you want is the contrast between the cream, that nice cool cream, and the hot coffee. So I'm going to float this using my spoon right over the top of the drink. And you can see that that sits and forms a beautiful layer on top of the coffee. And this is really not difficult at all. It's almost impossible to get it to sink if you thicken it properly. And that is our no sugar, no dairy Irish cream for our special guest, SCOTT COULTER. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much. A signature drink.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Let me know what you think. I certainly can use a little coffee right now.
Oh my God, that's good.
You like that?
Yeah, I set you a problem. I feel so bad. No sugar, no dairy.
No, no, no. You sent me a challenge.
That's right.
And we love challenges.
And you know what? I love it. I'm Irish, so you could actually call this a Coulter coffee. I think we could rename it.
I think we just created a Coulter coffee right here on Broadway Bartender.
Fantastic?
That's wonderful. I have to say, I really like the combination of the coconut. I think it works really well with the coffee. And stevia is my go-to for 0-calorie, non-sugar sweeteners, because it doesn't add any aftertaste. It just, it brings almost a little bit of citrusy kind of vanilla flavor to the drink, but that's it, and then just sweetens it. So I think this is a lovely drink.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Think how many you're going to sell at brunch now.
Exactly.
Coulter coffees, I love it.
I think I may offer this in the show. Okay, so let's talk about what you do, because I am fascinated by the career that you have kind of carved out in the performance world. You are a cabaret performer and also an entertainment producer, right? Okay, so Again, we get a lot of people watching Broadway Bartender that maybe don't live right here in the theater district and aren't as familiar with some of the different aspects of theater. Explain cabaret, first of all, and the rest of what your business is. What else do you do?
Well, I moved to New York to be a musical theater performer, to be, you know, a Broadway star.
Really interesting. I don't know that anyone's ever tried that before.
I thought that sounds unique and different, and I think I'll give this a shot.
Okay, great.
So I came here and I did a couple of regional things and a national tour, and I'd only been here a couple of years, but I was frustrated that things weren't moving fast enough. So I decided I'd sing in a bar. So this is perfect. So I did my very first cabaret show with some people that I had graduated college with, the University of Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music, CCM. We remounted a version of our senior showcase, and at a club called Don't Tell Mama, where they serve alcohol in the room. And the last night of our 3-show run, a critic happened to wander in and ended up giving us a Bistro Award for Review of the Year. So everything sort of snowballed from that, and I started doing my own solo shows. I started singing with a composing team called Marcy Heiser and Zena Goldrich, who wrote Taylor the Latte Boy, interestingly enough, with this drink right here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's an amazing song. Yeah. So if you haven't heard Taylor the Latte Boy, I'm sure it's on YouTube, like a million different versions.
Yes.
Check it out. It's absolutely awesome, and it's a great audition piece,
It's a great audition piece, yeah. So I've been singing with them for almost 20 years, and through them I met Stephen Schwartz, who invited me to go on the road with him and do a series of concerts called Stephen Schwartz and Friends with Stephen, myself, Tony winner Debbie Gravitt, and Liz Calloway. And we did that started in 1999, and for several years we did that. And then the man that booked that show decided that he was going to disband his company. He was sort of tired of that. And everybody was fine with that except me, because I was like, I sort of need this to keep happening, the show. So I asked Stephen if I could try to book it, and he said, knock yourself out. So I started a concert production company. And now I create concert events for symphonies and performing arts centers around the world.
So you just decided you were going to go from performing to booking the show that you were in?
I still perform. I perform in a lot of the shows that I book, not all of them, but a lot of them. And the interesting thing about New York, what they don't teach you in school, is everybody thinks about when you get here, you have to get an agent. And once you get an agent, all your work is done. But that's not true.
Oh, because, please talk more, because I tell this to people all the time.
What you sort of have to take charge of your own career, which you also have done. I mean, look at all of the different things that you do. Sort of like, it's like mixing a drink. Do you know what I'm saying? Take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that to make the perfect cocktail. You sort of have to do that to make the perfect career, I think. Especially these days. I mean, it used to be that you'd star in a Broadway show, then you'd win a Tony Award, you'd get a TV show, you'd become a household name. That doesn't happen anymore. So all I ever wanted to do was sing. That's all I ever wanted to do. So I thought, I'm going to find a way to do nothing but music. And so far so good. Knock on
stainless steel,
stainless
I believe.
Steel, yes.
Well, congratulations. That's amazing. And yes, this is not only a template that I have personally tried to follow, but when I work with up-and-coming actors, it's something that I talk to them about, because it is, I think, one of the biggest myths is that you move to New York and the very first thing you need to do is get an agent, and then you perform the rest of your life.
Right.
And what they find out very often is that the agents are actors who couldn't get jobs themselves, and that are now trying to book other actors. And they mostly are working with people that already are booking themselves, and because they need to make a living, right? So you really do need to be in charge of your own destiny. And the reason that I started producing is because I got tired of sitting in a room auditioning for people, and I wanted to perform when I wanted to perform. So I figured, like you said, let's produce a show.
Yeah.
So you get to perform whenever you want.
Well, not whenever I want. I get to perform whenever someone pays me, which is actually very often. Well, I think next season I only have a couple of weekends where I'm actually going to be in New York City, so it's a great year. But I do stuff on the road. I also am a director of original programming at 54 Below up the street.
Wonderful venue.
Yeah, great venue. So I create on occasion special content for them. And we did a brunch show yesterday, actually, called A Very Broadway Mother's Day, which is Broadway stars performing with their children, or Broadway stars performing with their moms. It's the 3rd year we've done it. It's a great show.
Wow, we need to talk. I'd love to do an revival version there. That would be a great venue for that.
That would be a good venue for that.
Awesome. So now tell me a little bit about cabaret, because again, I think this is something that is, if it's not unique to New York, which is certainly not, I think more at least bigger cities. I don't know, that like I lived in Durham, North Carolina for a long time, and cabaret shows kind of thin on the ground.
Yeah.
You know? Right, exactly.
Cabaret shows are strip shows in North Carolina and Tennessee, where I'm from. Cabarets are, just small rooms. It's really a concert. It's really like a personal concert in a small room. But I think what has made my company show so successful is that we take the ideas of cabaret, which is talking directly to an audience, speaking to them as if you're in your living room, sharing stories, sharing background about the song, and putting that in a performing arts center context or a symphonic arena, sort of shakes things up a bit. Cabaret really is a way to learn about the music being performed and a way to learn about the performer. So that's what makes it different than just like going to see Celine Dion in concert or, Aerosmith in concert.
Is it by definition conversational and interactive?
It's not interactive, but it is conversational in the sense that you should be sharing. It's a sharing of yourself, which can run into problems because sometimes people share too much or share things you don't really want to hear them sharing. But it's really just about a way of looking at music. Like if we were to both sing "Someone to Watch Over Me," the Gershwin song. Even if we sang the exact same notes, exact same melody, the exact same rhythms, it'd be two different versions because you're bringing your story to that song and I'm bringing my story to that song, whatever those stories may be. So cabaret is a way of sort of letting people take an hour or 75 minutes and sort of put their stamp, put their story on the songs that they're singing. That's how I like to look at it.
So the cabaret that I'm most familiar with is sort of American songbook type stuff where people are singing, as you mentioned, very traditional standard songs, but they're putting their own stamp on them.
Right.
But you also do things that are much more geared towards a particular composer or other things. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sometimes, well, at 54 Below, we've done tributes to Cher, we've done tributes to Dolly Parton. We have a fabulous disco show that's based on the history of Studio 54 because it's actually, 54 Below is in the basement of the old Studio 54. So we have a show called Turn the Beat Around that's like a nonstop disco party, and there's a dance floor. So that's a specific type of cabaret event. But for the road, I've done a lot of great composer stuff. The Stephen Schwartz Show. I put together with the ASCAP Foundation. Every song that's ever written is licensed by either ASCAP or BMI. Like if you buy sheet music at the bottom, it'll be the copyright is either with ASCAP or BMI.
Can you give us the 2-second again because I know people have seen these initials everywhere, but what do they mean? Like give me
ASCAP is the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, and their job is actually to track the performance of songs around the country and around the world to make sure that the royalties from those performances reach the composers, the people that wrote them. And in the 70s, the widow of the man who wrote "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" left all of the royalties from that song to ASCAP so that they could start a foundation to sort of educate and entertain people around the country. Isn't that great?
Really where it came from?
Yeah. So now the ASCAP, ASCAP has been in existence for over 100 years, but the ASCAP Foundation started from Jack Norworth's widow, left the royalties to that song. Wow. So the foundation now tries to find ways to, spread music to places where it may not be, the message may not be getting out. So to that end, I was asked to create for Jerry Herman, who's on Broadway right now with Hello Dolly, the biggest smash hit in town starring Bette Midler, a concert of his music to sort of introduce him to the younger generation because younger kids, they all know Wicked, they all know Dear Evan Hansen, they all know, Brooklyn, but the classic musical theater is not quite reaching them.
Right.
And so the purpose of this concert is to sort of fix that. So the ASCAP Foundation funds 4 of those events a year. We fund 4 symphony concerts that go around to symphonies in America. And we go to town a couple days early. We do master classes with local high school or college kids. We pick 2 kids from that town to be in the concert with the symphony and the New York cast and sort of pass the torch along that way to the next generation. It's been a huge success.
What's the name of that series? How do people find out about it?
It's called Jerry Herman, the Broadway Legacy Concert, and you should look for it in your town. Only 4 of them are given out a year because they're fully funded by the ASCAP Foundation, not by the Symphony or the Performing Arts Center. So it's sort of a gift. It's a way to give back to the community and also to give back to places where we've performed before that were really great to us or treated us really well. And so far, so good.
Wow, what an amazing, that's on so many levels, that's an amazing event.
Yeah.
So how did you get started in this? I mean, you mentioned that you wanted to be a performer yourself.
Right.
How far back did that go?
Oh gosh, from the time I was, 5, I did my first solo in church, I think. I always wanted to sing. And I went to school to be a music teacher because my parents refused to let me be a performer. And they didn't even want me to be a music teacher. And when they finally realized I was serious about it, they said, well, then you need to go to a really good school. So we looked at Cincinnati, and I didn't like their music education program so much, but I liked their musical theater program.
Which is what you really wanted
Yeah,
to do.
so I auditioned and I got in. I was like, that's a sign, so I did it. So the thing I tell people all the time is if there's something in your life that you love, if you wake up every day and say, I have to sing today, then you should do it. If you wake up and say, I could sing today, I could go to the park today, I could, go to a ball game, then maybe it's not for you.
Right.
But you're the same way. Like you have a passion.
Yeah.
Every day that is like in the forefront of your mind. If you wake up with something every day that makes you feel alive, you should follow that path. And you should say yes all the way along the way, I think. I think that's a very key component, especially for young people starting out, is that you're going to get asked to do stuff for free or for not much money or that maybe you don't want to do. But if it's not totally beneath you or, doesn't call your integrity into question, you should always say yes, because you don't know who you're going to meet in that job or in that performance opportunity that's going to help you down the line, or you have no idea where opportunity lies. And so many people sort of just sit back and wait for opportunity to knock on the door, as opposed to, building the door and opening it yourself.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I know so many, especially performers that are just starting out, are so focused on trying to get to that living wage as quickly as possible, which you absolutely need to pay the rent.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I always encourage people, get your name out there, get your performance out there, do it, for free if necessary. And then when people see you, hopefully the offers will come.
Absolutely.
But again, I love the idea of taking control and creating the production opportunities yourself. I think that's, it's such a good way to stay in the business long term. Because I know, I have friends that have been in shows that have won Tonys, and then when the show closes, they're out of work. They're waiting tables again.
Right.
It's a difficult business to achieve longevity in unless you have some sort of a say.
Yeah.
In what your destiny is.
And it's so interesting. There's so I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it's a very famous musical theater actress, a Tony-winning musical theater actress, and she was doing a straight play. She's a musical actress, but she was doing a straight play many years ago. And a friend of mine was selling headsets at the theater where the show was going on. And it was a 3-act play. She wasn't in the second act. So she and my friend would, ended up finding themselves every night during the second act outside just chatting. And one night he said she was in a really foul mood, and he didn't say anything, but he could tell something was wrong. And finally she said, oh, that should have been mine. And she pointed across the street to where a new marquee had gone up, starring another musical theater legend in a role that this legend thought she should have been playing. And I thought that's such an interesting story, because no matter who you are, you always have to get the next job. There's nobody ever has a career where they don't have to get the next job. So it's sort of like one of those little hamster wheels. Like it never stops. You're just always running on it, always running on it. And if you don't somehow take control of it, you're always at the mercy of someone else giving you the opportunity that you want. So, well, sort of like the Bible, which you wrote.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's something that I wanted to do, and so rather than pitch it, just produce it, right?
Absolutely.
But again, it takes a certain sort of, I guess, personality and things that maybe not everybody possesses. But I do think that even people who just want to be performers should find other ways to make a living in the business. And teaching is another great way to do it. Getting in the production end is another great way to do it. Today, marketing and social media, I know so many people that are, rather than do marketing and social media for a pharma company, which there's nothing wrong with, wonderful, but if your passion isn't pharma and it's theater, do it for a theater company.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think it's really important. And again, I just think that I was so glad that we were able to have you on the show, because I think it's such a great example of how someone can perform long term on their own terms. I think it's just, and I salute you for that.
Well,
I think
thank you,
wonderful.
and I you. Cheers.
Mike, thank you.
And thanks for the signature drink. This is so cool.
Oh, awesome. So I want to have you make the next drink, but I got to ask you really quickly, can you talk about the Broadway Rising Stars program?
Yeah, this is a really great thing. Cool. So I think for the last 11 years, the Town Hall here in New York City, which is a historic theater in town, 1,500 seats. It's actually the theater where the phrase "there's not a bad seat in the house" was coined.
You have a great story.
Yeah.
How do you know all this stuff?
Well, that's just, it's part of the town hall legacy. And actually the best seats are actually in the balcony because the sound is exquisite there. But every year they do a concert there, which is produced and hosted by Scott Siegel, called Broadway's Rising Stars. And I'm fortunate enough to direct it for the last 10 years. The first year I co-directed with Emily Skinner. And then the last 9 years I've done by myself. But the concert features 24 musical theater graduates from all over the country. We audition kids from coast to coast, and we pick 24 that we think are the best or have the most potential, and present a concert sort of welcoming them to New York. It's July, I think this year it's July 10th at the town hall. So it's always a great night, really exciting. People get agents, people get commercial agents, people get jobs. It's really thrilling.
How do you pick the performers?
A lot of them come in and audition for us. I'm headed right now after I down this delicious drink to auditions, the final callbacks, where I'm sure everybody's going to be fabulous because I want to be a little coffee toasted. And but also I do master classes on a lot of concert things I do around the country, and I find kids from those classes as well, and we sort of encourage them to find their way to the city in July.
Wow, so it sounds like giving back and helping people develop their own careers is really important to you.
Well, it's because I only have a career because people gave back to me. Most importantly, I mean, Marcy Heisler and Gina Golders have been great to me, as has Scott Siegel. But Stephen Schwartz has been huge in my life and has been so supportive and giving and generous. And sort of by his example, I mean, to me, he's the pinnacle. Do you know what I'm saying?
He's one of my absolute heroes.
Right.
Yeah.
He's at the top of the mountain, and he's constantly pulling other people up, which I think is such a beautiful legacy for himself, but also a lesson to me to, there's room for everybody at the top of the mountain. And once you're there, where he is, I mean, the fact that he lovingly and generously helps other people try to get up there is beautiful, and something that I think we should all aspire to.
Wow, Godspell is my all-time top favorite show.
It is?
Oh, I absolutely, and I was just telling someone the Bible, I actually used very loosely the format of Godspell. It's a narrator telling stories that are acted out by the rest of the cast.
Fantastic.
Because that was such a formative show for
Yeah.
me. I couldn't agree more. I think he's absolutely wonderful and a genius.
He is.
Okay, great. So, have you bartended before?
Just at my house.
That totally counts.
Which is just ice and vodka, so that doesn't really count.
It absolutely counts. You feel like making a drink?
Sure.
All right, let's switch places, and you come right over here.
See, I said you should always say yes, right? So
You should
I'm
always
saying
say
yes.
So we're going to stick with the coffee drink theme, and we're going to keep most of the ingredients, but we're going to switch up the proportions a little bit. We're going to use vodka in this one, so we're going to do a macchiato martini.
Ooh, that sounds
a mocha
fancy.
macchiato
sounds
martini,
fancy.
because I like alliteration.
Okay.
Okay, so first thing you're going to do is in that mixing tin, there should be an ice scoop down there. Just put a couple scoops of ice in that mixing tin. And we're going to use espresso this time instead of brewed coffee. So the first thing I want to do is add some coffee powder. So just put a couple scoops of, just shake a little bit into there.
There into here?
Yeah. Then this isn't rocket science. You can make it as chocolatey or as not chocolatey as
How's
you would
that?
like. Good. And then you're going to take that spoon. Good. And you're going to you can use the back is a little easier. Yeah. And just kind of stir it up a little bit. And get that cocoa powder at least incorporated into the liquid a little bit. Fantastic. Good. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so now in this tin, we're going to do 2 ounces of vodka, which is the bottle on your left. And I want you to turn it all the way upside down and count to 4, because each 2 count is 1 ounce.
Oh,
You've seen bartenders do this.
yeah, but I count wrong at my house.
Well, so with most pour spouts, 1 count is a ½ ounce.
Okay.
Great. So now we have 2 ounces of vodka in there, which is exactly what we need. And we're going to now add coffee, and I want you to do the same thing. You're going to pour the coffee, and I want you to count to 4. Great. Now we need to shake this up. So you're going to take that clean glass, put it right on top, pull it towards you, and then twist it a little bit so that it locks. Great. 1 hand on top of the tin, 1 hand on the bottom of the glass, and I want you to just shake it up really good like you see me do on TV. Great. Okay, and you can go ahead and pop that off.
That's what you think.
Yeah, I know. So this is the trick. There you go.
Ah.
Good job. Good job. So now we have, I need to sweeten it a little bit. So we're going to use that stevia, the
Great.
Truvia syrup, and just count to 2 this time. Perfect, and just give it a little swirl to incorporate that. Good, and you have a strainer right there that with the spring on it, put the spring side down. Yep, and you're gonna swing that handle around to the right and put your index finger right here. That's it, and go ahead and strain it, and try and do like, go back and forth between these two glasses so you get fairly even amounts in both. Exactly, good, and we're gonna leave a little room at the top. Perfect. Perfect. And now we have some more coconut cream here, which is thickened in that tin. So you go ahead and pour a little bit into that tin. And you're going to shake it again, but this time with the dirty glass. And you only need to do this for a few seconds. And we're going to just dry shake this coconut. Good, and that will do it. And for a macchiato means stain in Italian, and it should just be stained with cream. So I just want you to take the spoon and scoop some coconut cream and just drag it right along the top. So what you see in kind of mass coffee shops isn't a traditional macchiato. If there's more than about that much cream, you're really looking at a latte. So that's exactly what a macchiato should look like.
Well, that is.
That is.
That's
they look beautiful. All right, you want to try that?
Sure. Here, I'll drink the yucky one. You take the nice one.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Ooh.
Nicely
That's
done,
nice.
my friend.
Yes, yes. Auditions are going to be a fantastic.
Everyone's getting cast
Everyone's
today.
getting cast today.
Scott, thank you so much. Where can
Thank
people
you.
find you on the internet?
My
Or your shows, anything?
Yeah, my company is SPOTOnentertainment.com, spot-on-entertainment.com, and most everything is listed there.
Great.
And I'll be at 54 Below a lot this summer. We're doing a cast reunion of Hello Mudda, Hello Fada, the Alan Sherman musical. We're doing a night where the cast of Cats sings Andy Lloyd Webber. We're doing 54 Sings Chess, which has been a big hit for us again in August. So a lot of stuff going on there too in town this summer.
That's some of my favorite music. I gotta get to some of those.
You gotta come.
Fantastic. Scott Coulter, thank you so much
Thank you. It's a
for
pleasure.
coming. Folks, you can check us out on the internet, BroadwayBartender.com. We'll have recipes. Also, my show, The Imbible, imbible.nyc. Tune in next week. Drink well, drink responsibly. You did a good job.
And a good teacher. That's good,
nice.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Bravo! Bravo!
Thank you.
Take me out to the ball game. We'll
Isn't
never
that
have the
something?
same meeting.
Isn't that
to me.
amazing?
That is incredible.